I know so many of you in the Northern Hemisphere are already getting so excited for the autumn season. Even though we're heading into spring down in the Southern Hemisphere, I still wanted to get in on some autumnal action with this bullet journal theme in the mystery journal. It's all about warm tones and some creatures that are real but often considered to be a little bit magical. Hi, my name's Erin. Let's do some planning for September. The notebook I used for this mystery journal is the Blue Moonlight Melody A5 journal from Tiefossi, creators of fine journals and sponsors of this video. If you're new to Tiefossi, let me fill you in. They're a stationery brand particularly focused on making notebooks, journals, and journaling gear that's just as pretty as it is practical. They believe great stationery should spark joy and help you get things done, and I couldn't agree more. Their range of covers is expansive with designs to suit any taste or aesthetic, and their range of sizes has been expanding rapidly this year too, with B5 and square notebook options joining the lineup. These journals have everything you need for a great bullet journal or reading journal or recipe journal or media journal, whatever you plan to use it for. 160 GSM dot grid paper, ribbon bookmarks, a back cover pocket, and the pages are even numbered for those of us who love to include an index. And guess what? You might be about to score your very own Tiefossi notebook because the folks at Tiefossi and I have teamed up for a giveaway. 2 lucky winners will get to choose their favorite notebook from the Tiefossi range to use for whatever your heart desires. Here's how to enter. Follow Tiefossi on both Instagram and YouTube, subscribe to my channel right here where you're watching this video, leave a comment on this video, anything you like, and fill out the Google form linked in the description. This is mostly so I can get your email address so I can contact you if you win, because there have been previous winners who I guess never check their YouTube comments and I never heard back from them, so this way at least I can email you. I'll be contacting the winners by email on August 20th, Australian Eastern Standard Time, so you've got 1 week from the date this video goes live to enter. And if you can't wait that long, you can use my affiliate code Erin Smith to get 10% off when you shop on Tiefossi.com. Huge thanks to Tiefossi for supplying the journal that made this video series possible, for hosting this giveaway for our community, and for sponsoring this video. Now let's get stuck into the journal setup. If you aren't familiar with my mystery journal project, this is a journal I actually put together for the entire 6 months of the second half of 2025 over the course of April and May, and then I gave it away. I wanted this journal to have a bit of a magical through line through all of the themes inside, and putting together 7 journal themes back to back like that can be a bit of a creative disaster, so I enlisted the help of my channel members on a live stream to help me come up with all of those themes. And I threw this one out there. I said, what should we do for September? And one of my channel members, Sims, said dark yellow, and I went, what does that mean? And this is what we came up with. I actually had lots of little pieces of tapes and stickers and all sorts of things in my collection that fell into this kind of yellowish color palette, and that's not something I reach for very often, so this theme was fantastic in that it helped me to move things out of my collection that had really been in there for a long time. When we were first brainstorming this theme as a way to introduce the magical element, I thought it would be cool to add some black cats because of how they're so often associated with magic or the supernatural. But as I got further and further into the theme, it became less about black cats, more about cats just generally, and then I also introduced some foxes. I wanted to add a Dutch door effect to this first spread, so the cover page would have a little bit of the next page, which will be a calendar peeking through, but I didn't have any tapes that I felt would work well lining this page vertically, the second one, so I stacked up a whole bunch of horizontal tape instead, which took some time but I think looks really cool in the end. You know when you need to go grocery shopping and you don't have very much in the fridge, but you manage to put together some kind of a meal just out of what was left on your pantry shelves and in your fridge? That's what putting together this theme really felt like to me. I did go through and pencil out where I wanted all of my functional spaces to go ahead of time, but I didn't really go in with much of a plan as to where all of my decorative elements would sit. I really just made that up as I went along. And sometimes that works out wonderfully, and sometimes it's more of a frustrating experience. This one I think fell somewhere in the middle. A lot of the more decorative stickers were quite large, which can make them a little bit tricky to balance across a page sometimes, especially if they're not stickers that cut down easily. And I have to give a big shout out to my channel member Courtney, who remembered she had some cat stickers in her collection when we discussed this on the live stream, and she mailed them to me so I could include them in the journal. Thank you so much, Courtney. That includes both these ones on the craft paper background. They're originally from Sticky. The artist's name is Meredith Dillman, and they don't actually have this exact sticker sheet available anymore, but they do have a similar one by the same artist, so I'll link to that one in the description. Sorry it's not the exact same one, but it's kind of the best I can do. The yellow floral washi tape I've used to line the side of the Dutch door there is from the washi tape shop, and the script tape that's underneath that on the following page is from JOURNALSAY. The fox stickers are from Paper Monogatari from their pumpkin spice collection last year, and the other cats also were sent to me from Courtney. Thank you so much, Courtney. These ones I think are probably AI, which I'm not obsessed with, but they fit the theme and I had them and I didn't want to waste them, so they're going in here. I've just recently decluttered and I got to move a lot of the AI stuff out of my collection, and that made me really happy. I just prefer to support human artists wherever possible. The cover spread took quite a bit of trial and error, just moving things around and auditioning things, layering stickers together and filling in the gaps with some tiny little sparkles. It's probably not my most cohesive cover spread that I've ever made, but I think it does the job and it does fit the dark yellow theme, so I'm gonna let it be what it is. Sometimes when you have a whole spread to fill up without a dedicated purpose for it besides introducing a theme, it can be a bit overwhelming. But we're moving on to the next spread now, and it is a lot less overwhelming because it is a good old calendar theme, and I know what I'm doing with those. The first thing I'm doing is cleaning up the edge of my washi tape layer over on the right side here because I needed the space for the edges of my calendar. I'd covered it a little and I wanted this line to be really crispy so it doesn't look like several pieces of tape. So I used a metal ruler and a craft knife to just score over the top of the washi tape, lightly enough to cut through the tape but not the paper, and peeled up any excess that was hanging on there. I have reduced my page size a little bit by including the Dutch door on the left side there, so I didn't have a huge amount of room to work with compared to usual to put my calendar on here, but that's okay. It wasn't too difficult to make it work, honestly. September starts on a Monday, which is helpful. I like my calendars to start on a Monday, and I went for a floating calendar box design, so there's a little space in between each of the planning spaces for each of the days. So the boxes here ended up being 4.grid spaces tall by 4.grid spaces wide each. I'm using an Archer and Olive calligraph marker to add a little circle in the corner of each of those boxes, and that's where I'm going to pop down the number for each day of the month. I actually have two that fit the color scheme, but I'm going to pretty much use them up in this theme, unfortunately, so as we go through, one of them's just going to get drier and scratchier, which is a shame because I really like the fine end on the calligraphs for lettering. These ones were from before Archer and Olive started giving you the stickers or printing on the barrels what the colors were. They came with a subscription box from like 2 years ago, so I can't tell you exactly what they were, but they were kind of mustardy. And the printed horizontal washi tape there is from Paper Monogatari. That's actually the one that's got the letter from Mr. Darcy from Pride and Prejudice, and it's one of my favorites to use. The other script one, horizontal one at the top there, is also from Paper Monogatari, but I've never stopped to read that one. And this sticker sheet of cats is from Ikigai Papir. This one you can't get anymore, I'm very sorry, but they are so cute. I felt like I needed to fill a little bit more of this space down the bottom, so I'm adding a little fox down here next to the cat. They can hang out with the stack of books and maybe they run the library, I don't know. That sounds like a library I'd like to visit, actually. The next spread is all about focusing on positive things, and I'm trying to do second line highlights with a pen that's running out and it doesn't look great, but I'm committed, so I'm just going to roll with it. The left page here is for setting goals, although we're calling it manifesting because it sounds way more magical that way. The bottom part of that page is for a section for things that you're enjoying at any given time. That's just a nice way to kind of be present and aware and be grateful for the things that were fun for you in the course of a month. And the right page is a day-to-day gratitude log for really looking for those special moments in each day. Even if you're not having the greatest day, finding something good about it can be a really positive practice. This spread doesn't leave a huge amount of room for decoration, but my good old letterbox system is definitely a fail-safe here. I recently made a video about 3 of the most common decoration layouts that I use, and the letterbox is one of them. So if you want to learn more about that or about the others, there is a link to that video here or down in the description. Let's carry on to our next spread, which is all themed around trackers. In the mystery journal, I really like to try to add a mood tracker that has a bit of a fun element to it to make it enjoyable to use. And for this one, I'm taking inspiration from some of my lighting stickers. I got these from JOURNALSAY ages ago. I don't know if they still have these exact ones, but they definitely have something similar. These ones particularly I thought were great because they were quite simple. It's just a light bulb from a wire, kind of a festoon lighting feeling, and I thought I could bring that up the top of the page, draw 30 of those for the 30 days of September, and each day the winner of the journal can colour in one of those light bulbs in a colour that corresponds to their mood. And that's going to be our mood tracker for this one, which is a lot of work but is also quite spatially economical. The light bulbs are essentially just a teardrop shape with some lines at the top of them, and you can just draw multiple lines to be the festoon lighting kind of wires that they string from, with a vertical line just moving down to the teardrop. I promise you, these are actually really easy to draw, and you can put a little bit of extra shape on the light bulb shape if you want to make it a little bit more realistic, but I kept mine very simple, and I think they turned out entirely passable. This is also going to leave me with heaps of space down the bottom of the page underneath this for our habit tracker, which is going to be a little bit drier, not so illustrative. This one's just going to be a table with space to track 6 habits, and I'm not going to put what those habits will be in here because that's up to the user of the journal. I'm also adding an extra line across the top and bottom of this tracker so I can add the number for each day of the month and also the initial for each day of the month in that space, so it's easy to keep track of things as the month moves through. And I'm colouring those ones in with my drying out mustard markers just to really differentiate them from the rest of the tracker. There's also still so much page space left over, so I can still decorate this one even though the top section will end up with quite a bit of colour going on probably. I can still decorate down the bottom and a little bit on the sides of the trackers too. I feel like this spread looks a little bit unbalanced, so I thought I'd explain it a bit. These boxes here are for colouring in with specific colours that the winner of the journal wanted to use to track specific moods, and so say for the first they were feeling whatever mood is in that first box, they colour it in. This is kind of what it might look like towards the end if they use colours that match with the theme. Let's move on to the next spread, and this one is a meal planner. I like to set up my meal planners essentially as calendars because that gives you kind of the most scope to factor in situations where you know you might not be eating at home, so you can account for how much food you're sourcing. I'm playing with a lot more paper here than I had for the original calendar spread in this setup, and I wanted these ones to be pretty big, so I've made each of my calendar boxes 5 dot grid spaces wide this time, 1 dot grid space wider than the ones on the calendar spread, and still 4 dot grid spaces tall, so I can account for space for a breakfast, lunch, dinner, and a snack every day. Down the bottom, I'm adding some second line highlights to make spaces here for a shopping list, whether you want to make it just a general shopping list for the whole month, or if you wanted to make it 3 separate shopping lists for, say, a week 1, a week 2, and a week 3 shopping list, and you can cycle through them, that could be a useful way to do this too. Whenever you set up a calendar spread like this, unless you're willing to split the calendar down the middle and have whatever is the center day of how you like to set your weeks up across the middle of the spread, which I don't personally really enjoy doing, sometimes it's necessary, but I try to avoid it, then you're always going to have your calendar sit a little bit more towards the left or a little bit more towards the right side of the spread. For this one, I've gone with the left side, and that means we've got quite a bit of space on the right side of the calendar and the shopping lists. That's going to be where I focus most of the decoration. I'm using some of the pumpkin spice functional stickers from Paper Monogatari for the calendar this time, but I didn't want the whole word. There wasn't quite enough room for that, so I'm actually just cutting off the first 3 letters from each sticker. The pumpkin spice collection was Paper Monogatari's fall theme from last year. You can't get this one anymore, but they will, I'm sure, be releasing a fall theme for this year soon, and I can't wait to see what it is. I'm introducing a new sticker on this page. This is part of a collection of landscape stickers I got some time ago from JOURNALSAY. You probably can't get these ones anymore, and honestly that's probably for the best because there was something really wrong with these stickers. I'll show you later when we run into it, but they were really frustrating. I used some of these in my travel journal last year as well, and I had this problem with them while I was on the go that just absolutely drove me crazy. So I feel like it makes more sense when you see it, so I'll tell you about that when we get there. But for now, just know I do not recommend those stickers. These are our last 2 functional pages for this setup before we get into a spare spread and the weeklies. And these ones on the left here we have the spending log, and on the right is a page just for keeping track of memories. I'm apparently not feeling very linear right now, so we're going to do the memories page first, even though it's on the right side. I'm not doing too much to this page here, I'm just adding a little bit of decoration in the corners because it's up to the winner of the journal how they want to use this page, whether they want to write down their memories for the month, just little highlights as dot points or some long form journaling, or maybe they want to add photographs, maybe they've got a Polaroid Instax camera, an HP Sprocket mini printer, and they want to add pictures in here. I don't want to take up too much space, so they've still got lots of flexibility. The spending log is exactly what it sounds like, just a place to keep track of money that is leaving you so that you know exactly where it's going and why it's being spent. And sometimes it can be a good way to identify patterns in your spending that maybe could be changed to result in some more savings. The spending page actually relates back to an overview cash flow tracker that's earlier in the journal right back at the start, so you can use the data on the spending tracker to fill out some of that information too. At first glance, the spending tracker probably looks like it's one big table, but it's actually the same table twice, just right next to each other. So item, category, and cost, and then repeat it again, item, category, and cost. I usually try to come up with different ways to lay out the pages to give the winner of the journal some variety, but the spending tracker is one that stays the same every time because I feel like it functions best that way. Onward to what I call the spare spread, because this is a spread that is for whatever purpose I haven't considered. I don't pretend to know the needs of a mystery person when I'm setting up this journal, and I enjoy the challenge of setting up a journal that's supposed to be universally usable, but just in case, I always like to build in some flexibility, and that's what this spread is. So it will be a minimally decorated, fairly open spread for any purpose that I haven't considered that the winner of this journal would like to include. I'm going with one of my 3 fail-safe decoration techniques here again. This one I call the corner collage because that's literally what it is. It's just a little collage of things in the bottom left in this case, corner, and the top right. The rest of the spread I'm leaving completely blank, so it's totally open to what the winner of the journal wants to use it for, and if they don't have anything in mind, I did send some of the extra stickers and tapes and things along with the journal, so they can use it just for a fun little junk journal decorative spread if they want to, overflow of the memories from the previous page if they need more room, they could add a quote here. The possibilities are endless. We're moving into the weekly spreads now, which I really relish my weekly spreads. They're where I spend most of my time in my own bullet journal, so I try to put a lot of thought into how I'm going to lay them out in the mystery journal too. It's quite faint, but if you can see the pencil marks on the page here, I've divided this page into kind of a smaller rectangle, leaving a border around the outside, and then I've split that space into 6, so it's kind of 4 columns of 3, if that makes sense. I've chosen some of those to be the planning space and some of them to be decoration. It's kind of a condensed version of what I call the Ruthie.Journals spread, because it's a weekly spread I stole from a creator who goes by Ruthie.Journals on Instagram. It's basically her layout, but squished down a little bit more. And this is a really good one actually for the awkward weeks where you want to fit a couple of extra days in. You can do that really well on a spread like this. I'm also using some functional stickers from Sterling Ink here. I got these ones last year and I forgot all about them, but I thought I'd go ahead and use them throughout September in the mystery journal. I have some more left over too that I'm going to have to find places to use maybe next year, because the time has passed for some of them already for this year. I'm grateful these ones don't have the day of the week, like the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday on them, because I wouldn't have been able to use them in subsequent years like this if they did, but that means I just wanted to add a little circle and an initial for each of those, so it's really clear what you're looking at. And the gaps in between the days on the weekly and the space around the outside, guess what that's for? It's for decoration, of course. Our next weekly spread setup is a classic, and it's a classic for a reason, I think. This is the style of weekly where you literally just draw boxes on the page. You can do 8 if you like to have a notes section, you can do 7 if you like to just have the days of the week, and use the extra space for some decoration if you like to. I personally like both, and it depends on how I'm feeling which one I'll go with, but for this one, we're going to keep things pretty symmetrical and include the notes section in one of the boxes too, although I don't have a notes sticker in my functional stickers throughout the September date, so I'm just going to have to hand letter that one, but that's okay. That also means I'm introducing my letterbox decoration style again here, where the decoration sits at the top of the spread and at the bottom of the spread, with all the functional stuff happening through the middle. I'm also tearing some of my tapes to give me a really nice edge that harks back to that Dutch door that we did back on the cover spread. I love a torn edge, I always think it looks really romantic, and I really like the way it looks here with the contrast of the two browns next to each other. Another thing I really like to do with this style of layout is just scatter some smaller stickers around so that they kiss the edges of some of the boxes and just fill up a little bit of space, bring a bit more colour into the centre of the spread without eating into any of the area you'd be using to plan. This spread had some really nice muted tones on it so far, but it was missing some of that bright orange that we have elsewhere throughout the setup, so this is my way of making sure it's introduced here. The theme still feels really consistent, but we're not going too hard on the decoration either, so there's still lots of room for planning. The theme for this one has really evolved throughout the setup process, so it's been interesting to see where it ended up versus what I expected it to look like when I started. They're not too far off each other, but they're also not exactly the same idea either. This next weekly we're setting up is actually a horizontal weekly. Our last two have been more vertically oriented. And the decoration's actually going to be similar on this one too, with the two strips of washi tape right next to each other. But rather than having them at the top and the bottom of the page in my letterbox style, this time I'm keeping the decoration just to the bottom of the spread. Once again, even though there are 7 days to a week, I'm including 8 planning spaces here, and we'll make the last one notes again, just like we did on the previous. Also, because I'm using those functional stickers that say like September date number, I have a little advantage here in that I can layer them over some stickers and make a little cute collage in the corners of each of these planning spaces that is kind of a basis and anchor for that sticker to live. One thing my stickers don't have though is the name of the day, so I have to jump back in with a pen and add the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday by hand. I really like how this spread looks, but it needs some detail, so it's time to jump back in with those bigger stickers and those bright oranges and those red tones, and make sure that once again everything is represented here so that the overarching theme throughout all of the pages really feels like a theme and not just a half-baked idea. It also doesn't have any critters on it, no cats or foxes, so that's something we need to fix too. Actually, I'm going to do something that I think is a bit funny with the campfire over there on the right hand side. I've got a little fox I'm going to place on the left side, so we're balancing out some of the orange, but my plan is actually to take one of the cats from the Ikigai Papir sticker that looks like it's enjoying some warm sun, put it next to the fire. Isn't that a nice little vignette? Like it's chosen there to sit. I thought that was cute. Remember I mentioned earlier the Ruthie.Journals weekly layout that I love and come back to over and over again? That was actually a little bit of foreshadowing because that's what we're going to do on this spread. It's a similar concept where you divide the page into 6, so rather than leaving a border around the outside though, this time I'm just going to divide the whole page on each side by 6, so I'll end up with 12 quadrants. Quadrants is probably not the word I'm going for here, but I'm going to roll with it anyway. Something I'm going to try that's a bit different with my decoration for this Ruthie.Journals layout though, this time I'm going to put some train tracks of washi tape through the middle of it, just because I felt like it had space to do that. Oh my goodness, this pen is really not holding up, is it? It's very sad to see it losing its legs as we go through. I feel like the horizontal washi tape, because of the way it has text on it, it really lends itself to going this way, and as a result I've used it this way a lot throughout the theme, so it was something I wanted to make sure that I brought in here as well. And of course we'll use those extra spaces in between that are still left blank for some more of my larger stickers, and some small ones too. It's time for my moment of absolute frustration with these landscape stickers, because I found one here that I wanted to use in this space down the bottom. I thought that's going to look really nice, but the problem here is that half of the stickers in this set were printed on the wrong side. So rather than the sticker, when you peel it off, having the design on one side with the sticky bit on the other side, the sticky bit is on the clear thing that you think is the backing. The sticker's actually been printed on the backing. It's so annoying. It's not sticky at all on the side you want it to be. I could glue it down, but I don't want to because I bought stickers, like I chose stickers, you know, so I'm just going to use a different one instead. It's fine, but it is so annoying. If I wanted to glue something into the journal, I would have picked paper. But these are supposed to be stickers. It's just, I'm sorry, it really gets my goat. There was 2 of each sticker design in the pack, and one of each of them was printed on the wrong side. So it was an ongoing frustration, as I'm sure you can imagine. This is our last weekly spread for this theme, for this setup, although I realise the week actually goes up to the 28th. Of course, September does continue up to the 30th, but I like to keep whole weeks together in my journals, so instead of having those last 2 days, the Monday and Tuesday of the following week, fall into the September setup, those ones are actually going to wrap around to the October theme and be at the beginning of the first weekly spread in October instead of in here. Since this theme has evolved so much while I've been using it, and I still have a bunch of these stickers left over, I thought it might be fun to just go back through and add some finishing touches, find some spaces for these gorgeous stickers to live, rather than just leaving them on a sticker sheet, and really filling out the layout and making sure it all looks cohesive all the way through. With the finishing touches now all in place, that means we can go back to the beginning and have a little flip through from start to finish of September in the Mystery Journal. Shout out to Sims, this theme would not have come together without your suggestion, and we will be doing another one of those members only Mystery Journal theme planning brainstorming sessions really soon, because I need to start thinking about the one for the beginning of next year, can you believe? If you'd like to get in on that planning action, you'll need to be a member of my channel, so hit the join link down below. You'll need to be a Jubilant Journals or Page Majors level channel member to access my exclusive monthly members only live streams. I hope you've enjoyed planning alongside me for September in the Mystery Journal. Hopefully you got some ideas from this video, and if not, I'll have September in my own journal coming next week too, so even more inspiration for you there. I hope you have a wonderful September ahead. I hope you make some incredible new memories. I hope you get to spend time with people you love, and I hope you get to eat something really, really tasty. Don't forget to enter my giveaway with Tiefossi to win a journal for yourself, and if you'd like to keep watching, here is a link to a playlist of all my mystery journal setups so far this year, and underneath that is another video YouTube thinks you'll enjoy.